Kia ora, everyone. Hope everyone's having a awesome day. And what's today, Wednesday? I'd like to give a warm welcome to obviously the New Zealand March Careers Fair. So today, it's my pleasure. My name is Phil. I'm coming to you from Prosper over in across the ditch in Brisbane. So it's my pleasure to host today. My role today is really to give you a bit of an overview as to what today will look like. The first 40 minutes of today's session will be a panel session. We've got some awesome sort of speakers lined up, and I'll get the chance to ask a couple questions. So if you do have any questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A box, not the chat box. Chat box is, for everything else. If you do have any questions, please put them in the Q&A box, and we'll make sure we get them answered live. After the 40-minute Q&A session, what we're going to do is we're going to go into some live presentations from a couple of the speakers who will be on today's panel session, just so you can find out a bit more about the graduate program or student opportunities that you can look for. And there'll be a few things in the chat box as well, so you can apply for a couple of the roles. But to kick us off and to kick the Q&A session off, I'm going to bring on 4 speakers. So first off, I'm going to bring on Levi from Foodstuffs. So g'day, Levi. And then I'm going to bring on Catherine from Mars. So here's Catherine. Also going to bring on Scotty Freeman. Here we go. Hey, mate. From Apprento, if you can read his t-shirt. And then also going to bring on Isaac from Kraft Heinz. So here we are. So, good everyone. How are we?
Thanks a lot.
Good, thanks.
Good. Thank
We're all
you.
off mute. This is great. Yeah, we're good. We're good. So, I guess to kick us off, maybe let's just start by introducing who you are, what you do for your current role, and what your organization does as well. So, maybe to kick us off, I'll start with Scotty.
Hi everyone. So Apprento, so what we do is we assess, place and coach graduates into sales and customer focused roles. So working with a number of businesses who sell to other businesses, so it's all business to business, who are looking for their next generation of sales talent. So what we're doing is we're helping graduates understand if it's the sort of profession that they might like to go into, and if they've got the right sort of raw skills. We're not looking for experience. And once we've placed you with one of the companies we're working with, we then train you for your first 12 months as well to really get you up and going. So I'm one of the founders of the company. So what I do, pretty much everything at the moment, with a couple of others that we're working with. So great fun, and I've really enjoyed helping a lot of grads over the past 15 months. Great to be here. Thank you, Prosper.
Awesome. Thanks, Scotty. And I'll let you pass the baton. Who do you want to go next, Scotty?
I think we've got to go ladies first. So I'll go Catherine.
Oh, too kind, Scotty. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Catherine here from Mars. I'm the early talent partner here at Mars, so looking after our graduates, interns and students across Australia and New Zealand. I was a grad myself, so get a lot of energy out of this role, kind of creating the same experience that I had from Mars coming in fresh out of uni. Mars is a privately owned multinational company. We operate in 80 markets with over 130 associates across the globe. We have products in pet care, food and confectionery, so brands such as Whiskers and Pedigree, Dolmio, Master Foods, Ben's Original, and of course confectionery, Mars Snickers itself, Maltesers Extra, to name a few. So as you can imagine, quite a few treats around, which can be dangerous if you have a sweet tooth like myself. But further to providing products to our consumers, I guess we're big believers on the world we want tomorrow starts with how we do business today. So, be mindful of our contribution to community. So yeah, big focus on sustainability, inclusion and diversity, and the associate experience. And I will pass to Levi from Foodstuffs.
Awesome, thanks, Catherine. Hey everyone. As Catherine and Philip mentioned, I'm Levi. I work at Foodstuffs North Island. So a little bit about Foodstuffs. Whether you have or haven't heard of Foodstuffs North Island before, I'm sure you are aware of our brands and our stores. They include Pack and Save, New World, Foursquare, Liquorland and Gilmore's. Those are the largest five. We are just Foodstuffs in the North Island. There is also Foodstuffs in the South Island as well, but they're actually quite separate. Although as a customer, you'd probably see it to be very much the same as you go from the tip of the North Island right down to the bottom of the South Island. So we in the North Island are a team of 25,000 employees, and that's spread across our head office in Auckland, our support centre, and 340 stores across North Island as well. So I work from home most of the time, but also from the head office in Auckland, where there's around about 1,000 full-time employees over all areas of the business. And I mentioned our stores. So I suppose in brief, what Foodstuffs does is we supply the groceries, a majority of groceries to New Zealand, around 52 to 53%, I believe, to New Zealand. So we keep New Zealand ticking from that perspective, and our mission is to make sure that New Zealanders get more out of life. So that's a bit of an overview about me. And in terms of my role, I'm a recruitment business partner, so I cover off recruitment for about half of our support centre, and partner with different areas of the business to make sure that we bring on great talent into the business. I also, alongside a couple of colleagues, work on our internship program and also recruit a lot of graduate roles as well. I'll pass over to you, Isaac.
Awesome, thanks Levi. Well, I'm in some awesome company today. So yeah, similar to what Catherine described, I'm Isaac Ramaka from Kraft Heinz, and we work in a really similar space when it comes to being in the FMCG industry, a little bit of friendly competition. But no, so I'm a recent graduate who just finished my one-year grad program last year, and I'm currently working as an account executive in the sales team here at Kraft Heinz. So you may know us from a lot of our different products that we sell here in New Zealand. We're really big under the brand as Watties. So from Watties tomato sauce to things like Kraft mac and cheese to Heinz ketchup, there's really a lot of things that we cover here at Kraft Heinz. So it's been a pleasure working in such a fast-paced industry, and so I'm really excited to be able to get to talk to all of you today a little bit more about what we do and what we have to offer.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. That was some good energy on today's panel. This is going to be great. So I guess to kick us off, thinking about a graduate, which is somebody's just studied for the last 3-4 years, and they're looking to get into the industry, into the consumer goods or retail sort of industry. What's one or two bits of advice that either you were given, which really helped you to put your best foot forward, or maybe just one or two bits of advice that you would give to a graduate that is about and looking for a role within this industry? And let's kick it off, or we'll change it up. Let's go back. We'll go back the other way. We'll go back, Isaac. You want to kick us off?
Yeah, sure thing. No, I think that's a great question. For me personally, I think one thing that is really big, especially coming into a graduate role, is, I guess a top tip would be working on communication skills. I think having communication skills and being able to work within a team. I think at university, you're given projects sometimes where you have to work in teams, and at times it can be a little bit difficult, but in the reality of things, when you come into an industry, especially one that's so fast paced, there are a lot of projects and things that you can't necessarily do yourself. So I think the ability to be able to work within a team and developing those communication skills is something that will really help you at that kind of next step in your career.
Awesome. Thanks, Isaac. Levi?
Yeah, thanks, Isaac. I think communication, absolutely, I would agree with you there. I think in addition to that, I think it's really key to kind of get out and meet and speak with as many different people as you can from different areas of the organization, and the industry as well. The industry's got so many different moving parts, and if you just stay siloed into one area or one role, I think it can be a bit of a disadvantage. So I think getting out there communicating with as many people as you can, getting to know as many different areas of the industry and the business would be a good place to start. Catherine.
Yeah, following on from Levi, quite similar in that. Yeah, I would recommend doing your research and remembering that this is a mutual process. I know at finishing uni and the stress of what am I going to do next and things like that, but I'd really, challenge yourself to work out what it is that you're wanting as well, and do your research around what experiences those are. Be curious and find out what types of roles are out there, because I know I was mind blown. I studied supply chain and now I work in HR. So like I definitely encourage you to be yourself through that process. Don't panic. There's so many good roles out there, and do your research and make those connections to work out what is the best option for you as well.
Yeah, I feel like I'm just copying what everyone else has said, but I totally agree with, particularly Levi and your point, Catherine. I think what impresses us most is when people actually use their networks to actually have considered conversations. So rather than just applying for jobs blindly, take the opportunity to use your network to connect with people and have a considered conversation. You come across really well. And I talk a little bit more about this as an actual process in my talk later on. But I think there's a huge opportunity to actually, outside of just applying for a job, to go and have considered conversations with good questions. And I think doing that process on its own, most people won't do that. I guarantee it. So it helps you stand out just by doing that, and the amount of information you'll learn about what you actually might want to do or not want to do. So yeah, it sounds like we're all sort of on the same sort of topic or same theme in terms of that answer.
Yep. Sometimes it's not about what you know, it's about who you know, as the old saying goes. So love that. What is, I guess, I might go to Catherine this one. In terms of your organization, what is your organization looking for in an application? So like, what do students need to show to actually get into the next round? And feel free, anybody else can obviously jump in on this one as well after Catherine.
Yeah, of course, happy to start. And I guess, a recent graduate, obviously we do, look to your studies and that's great. But certainly that isn't, the bottom line. Studying shows you can clearly learn and apply those learnings, but further to what you study, we really want to see whether your values align with our organisation, what makes you you. So what do you do outside of your studies, whether that be a sports team or a hobby that you have, or what's important to you, especially at Mars, given the family business. Like, we want to see what cultural addition you would be to the team, and clearly all the graduates are smart cookies with a recent degree, but probably further to that, we want to see what experiences have tested your learning agility in terms of throwing yourself into something a bit left field, or what further experiences have really shaped you to be the person that you are, and how can that transform into being a really valuable member in our Mars team.
Yeah, I'd echo again everything that you've said there, Catherine. I think it's hard for graduates to standing out when there's so many people having just finished uni, and I think we can. And okay, I graduated a few years ago now, but we can get locked into this belief that our qualification is going to be the savior and everyone's going to be really interested in it. It's interesting, but it's the other stuff. So what we're always looking for, we apply a bit of a lens that looks at initiative, communication skills, and resilience. And when we look at any application, we sort of run those three words over an application and say, what here shows me this person's got initiative? So what shows me they can just get on with things and maybe start things and not wait for people to have to tell them. Have they got good communication skills? The irony of me saying that word. So how do they show themselves? Like the basics of spell checks, and you would be amazed at some of the things we see that come across, real basic stuff. And then a sense of resilience or tenacity. Have you is there a goal you've chipped off? Is there something you've done which has taken a bit of effort that might have thrown some curveballs at you? And so don't write the words, I am resilient, I am, I have initiative. Show us with some stories or some achievements.
Awesome. I'd love to add a little bit to that as well, if that's okay. Definitely agree with what you've mentioned around communication, 100%, and the values side of things as well, Catherine, which you mentioned. That's definitely something that we really focus on. I think a piece of advice that I usually give to recent graduates or anybody looking for an internship role is to practice as much as you can, because as a first time, it can be so scary and daunting, like thinking, I'm going to be in an interview, I've never done this before. But you can practice with your friends and family, or your neighbor, whoever. Like, put yourself into an uncomfortable situation and try to use that as an opportunity to grow, because otherwise you could find yourself in an interview and you may not be able to put your best foot forward. At Foodstuffs as well, we don't look at GPAs when considering applicants for our internship program, as we understand that the smartest person or the most suitable person may not have the best GPA because of factors outside their control, may reduce their ability to actually turn up on test day to 100%, for example. So yeah, I think practice, be yourself. Like Catherine and Scotty mentioned, we really want to get to know you. So the more that you practice, the more relaxed you're going to be, and the more you're going to be able to put your personality across, which is what we want to see. So yeah, there's a few points for me. Do you have anything to add, Isaac?
Yeah. Just want to reiterate what everyone said. Really, I think the piece about being yourself, I think, is something that really resonates with me as well. I know as part of my first rotation in my grad program, I was lucky enough to be in the HR team. And part of my rotation was sitting in with the recruitment team and getting to watch some of the video submissions from the grads who have just recently been recruited. And so as I was sitting in on these meetings, it was pretty fascinating, to be honest. I was looking at these grads and thinking, man, I have no idea how I managed to get through this stage. But, I sat there and asked the recruiting team, and I said, what is it exactly that you're looking for in these video interviews? And the key piece that came back from everyone was always around more about the person's, I guess, their personality, more so rather than what they knew. I think university, like Catherine mentioned, is a great tool for learning knowledge, but I think it's more so your ability to learn rather than what you've learnt. Coming into a new job, everything's pretty new. Coming straight out of university, it's often a lot different than what you might have studied. So I think just the ability to learn and being yourself are some things that, yeah, the recruitment team definitely look at for grads when we're into a role like this.
Love that. It's very hard to teach somebody integrity. It's very hard to teach someone how to have a good character. That's why, we're always looking for that before obviously looking at everything else. So that's cool. What about, I might sort of push this back to you, Isaac, just to be very relevant. So in somebody's first year, let's say they actually land a role for Kraft Heinz or Foodstuffs or Mars or Apprento, what is some advice which you would give them, not just to survive their first year, but to actually thrive within their first year and do the best job possible?
Yeah, sure. I think number one, and again, I think Catherine might have touched on this already, but the biggest thing for me is just communicating with the different teams and different people in the organization. I think building those networks, like Scotty said, is definitely the most beneficial thing that I found in my first year of the grad program. Similar to what I mentioned earlier, is that a lot of these projects that you're given, you might not necessarily know how to do by yourself coming straight out of university. And I think reaching out to different teams and working with different people in the organization and building relationships is by far the best thing that you can do, because they're already very experienced. And to be fair, when you're a graduate, everyone is really willing to help you. So I think definitely take advantage of that where you can. But yeah, in regards to top tip, that would definitely be what I would say. And with regards to what not to do, it would be the opposite of that. I think, you know, stepping into a role and feeling pressure that maybe you don't know how to do something, the worst thing you can do is keep it to yourself. I think the best thing is to always just be open, talking with your team and expressing how you feel, because everyone's really willing and there to help you out.
Yeah, I think one of the things is really embrace the discomfort. Like, you know, you may have come from, you know, the world of studies where you might have, like the last year, you feel like you got everything sussed, you've had a bit of time off, and then you land the job, which is great, and then you're going to go through this huge learning journey, and it can feel really uncomfortable. You can feel like an imposter. You feel what we call consciously incompetent. You know, but you'll get there, you'll become consciously competent, but it's a journey you have to go through, and you've almost just got to embrace it. It feels horrible, but if you've got the right support network and you're asking questions, as Isaac said, and you're going to people, look, you know, people are going to help you and will forgive you if you make the odd mistake. No one actually cares. They'd rather that you volunteer, you're proactive, you want to get on. It's about the attitude. So I think don't sit there and stew over it. Know that everyone's wanting to help you, but sometimes you got to ask for it as well.
Yeah, mine were fairly similar to you too, and I think on par with that one, Scotty, was to trust the process. Like, particularly at Mars, I'm not sure about other grad programs, but we do move our grads quite cross-functionally. So it can, you know, seem unsettling if you're, you know, 9 months into a first rotation and we go, hey, look at this awesome opportunity, and you have no previous experience and you go on another steep learning process. But I think, especially for me or other graduates coming to the end of that, the amount of learning and growth you get out of, similar to Scotty, being uncomfortable. I know there's ambiguity around changing roles and the timing of that, but if you can really look holistically and see the bigger picture and the value that you're getting out of the stretch, I think that's where, you know, you'll see a lot of personal and professional growth, and then equally being curious around other associates within the business. You know, I mean, I have about 4 coffees a day, so always in the kitchen and always open for a conversation. So, you know, it can be daunting to introduce yourself to someone you haven't seen, but I feel like those, you know, more casual connections and understanding what they do or where they fit in the team, and just really kind of being aware of your personal brand and getting yourself out there as well, although it can be a bit daunting. I'd certainly recommend that, especially in early days of your career. It's where you'll learn a lot from others.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I think you guys have hit the nail on the head. Absolutely. I also think that you know, it's something to survive and thrive. I think you mentioned in your first year. I think that, like, your manager will be communicating with you really in depth in terms of the expectations and what it's going to take to succeed and how they're going to help you. So you could even bring that up in an interview if that makes you, you know, helps you interview the interviewer in a way to make sure that they're going to be providing the right support that you'll need through that process. But yeah, open communication and put trust in your leader, trust in the organization, and trust in the process.
Of that, interview the interviewer. It's epic. How good. Something you should always do. It's not just them employing you, it's both of you doing your due diligence to see if it's going to be a good fit on both parts. That's a really good point. Awesome. Shifting gears a little bit and just thinking about the pandemic and everything that's sort of been happening, just out of curiosity, sort of what's your organization been doing just to, I guess, adapt to the current times? Like, we sort of working from home more, and yeah, like what are some things that I guess your organizations are doing just to look after your employees? And anyone can put their hand up who wants to go first.
I can go first on that one. I've got a few points that come to mind. I mean, you mentioned first of all the working from home. So 1,000 people that are usually in the office are now working from home, and that's although we did have that flexibility to do kind of either or both beforehand. So yeah, working from home, we have very supportive leaders throughout the business. I felt so supported over the last 2 years. I haven't been into the office since July 2020. July 2021, since last year. So, and throughout that whole process, even though I haven't seen anybody face to face, I felt really supported. Even just yesterday, we had a online internal presentation. It's like a TEDx. It's called FoodieX, and we have motivational speakers and kind of industry experts come in talking to us about how we can help each other in the workplace and so on. And there's so many different things like that can be really motivating and inspiring for one another to really help each other and make sure that each other's supported in the workplace. There's been some other kind of even financial kind of ways that Foodstuffs has helped the employees work through the pandemic, from bonuses and separate sick leave, which is just for COVID outside of your usual sick leave, and yeah, just total kind of understanding, I suppose. That's a few things that few ways that Foodstuffs has supported the employees during this last pandemic of the last couple of years.
I guess I can jump in here and add a few things from the Kraft Heinz side of things. Yeah, I think all of us have been in a relatively similar situation with what's been going on with COVID, and I think especially for me over these past few months, it's been in a way beneficial to have a more hybrid working method, because I live so far away from the office. It's been quite handy not having to drive in as often, but that's one way in which, you know, I know that Kraft Heinz has been really supportive of all of us having a more hybrid way of working. I've been working from home for quite a while now as well, similar to Levi. There have been, you know, I know our leaders within the business are really care about the mental health and well-being of the employees. So there are certain benefits, like we have a live well benefit to help us make our working space at home more comfortable. We have something that I've enjoyed a lot has been shorter working days on Friday afternoons. You know, there's been little things like this that have been added to help, you know, living or working from home just that little bit easier for everyone, because it is a tough time to have to deal with. So I'm sure I'm missing a number of things, but I know that the business is really well aware of taking care of not only the employees, but making sure that the customers that we deal with, places like Foodstuffs, Woolworths, you know, our different customers, to make sure that we are keeping our customers safe, as well as the employees, especially when we're heading into those different supply situations and things like that.
Yeah, I just echo what Levi and Isaac have already said. I think a lot of the companies we work with have their own programs in place. They have good leaders and weekly, if not daily, interventions. Yes, there's always the social things via Zoom, but sometimes they can get a bit over those. So I think, like, what I've noticed is the communication has really increased during the course of an average week. But then what we're doing running alongside that is that we also run this 12-month, call it a development plan. But part of that is every 2 weeks is that the people in the roles meet up with a cohort of between 4 and 5, facilitated by one of our training teams, so that they can really, I suppose, download, whinge, celebrate, whatever they need to do to help them. So it's a mixture of, yes, there's some training, but also it's I suppose a psychological safety in a small group that can support each other through that first year. So yeah, that's the other thing that we put in there.
Awesome. And yeah, not too different to the rest of the team. Yeah, certainly the generous grants to ensure we're set up for success at home, and more chocolate delivered, and little things like that, the drinks. But agreed, Scotty, I don't know how many virtual drinks. It was a fun idea at the start, and certainly ensuring that our field team are supported. We have grads out there, especially in terms of the PPE, and ensuring that our customers are still serviced to an appropriate level, and that mutuality around safety. And probably the only different thing, or what hasn't been mentioned yet, I think, feedback from graduates starting in a remote world is certainly different, especially around wanting to build their networks. But how do you do that from, behind your computer screen in your bedroom? So I guess one intentional thing that we have been implementing is getting the graduates in front of our sales leadership team or a different team, even if it is a "this is me," just to introduce themselves or find out what they do and things like that. It is just something front of mind we have been kind of working on, because I know the graduates are eager to meet everyone, and starting a new job and your career is challenging, and then bring in not actually meeting anyone face to face. So it's definitely something that we're aware of, and trying to keep connected with our new associates and onboarding in a virtual world as well.
Awesome. Thanks everyone for that. That was epic. I think one thing which I find is really helpful for especially graduates coming in to work for a corporation, because they've had 3-4 years of study and they haven't sort of come into not a corporate world, but like that type of full-time work a lot of the time. So just maybe take like a minute or two each just to explain sort of what a typical day in the life would look like. What would some of the roles be? What would some of the actions and the experiences be for that first or second year? And maybe we'll start with Scotty and we'll go back around.
Sure. So a lot of the companies that we're working with or placing and then training graduates into are especially technology companies, and tech has had an explosive growth. We're on Zoom at the moment. It's allowed us to do a whole bunch of things in a different way. So quite a few of the companies we're working with are New Zealand companies who are wanting to take their products to the world, which is pretty exciting. All these companies are looking to solve problems in different areas. So I'll talk about one in particular, and that's a company called EasyVet. And if you think about the problems a vet faces, they obviously want to fix your poor dog's leg or cat's ear or whatever it is, but in the background they've got all their business to run. They've got to order the drugs and the food and keep their business running, and the rehab programs and dealing with owners, and I could go on and on. So that becomes really a problem, right? So what this company EasyVet have done is created the software which they sell to vets globally to help them manage their businesses. And they've been really successful and actually sold for a ridiculous amount of money last year to a big US company. So we placed a guy there about 10 months ago who went into an entry-level sales role. And that sales role is called a sales development rep role. And a lot of that role is doing a lot of the research and reaching out to potential customers and really having engaging conversations around what are your problems, what are your challenges, what's really painful for you, and then getting to a level of conversation where there might be interest in the solution that EasyVet provide. So then it's that role to book them in for what we call a demonstration. And at that point, it's usually a more experienced colleague who will come in to take over and go through that demonstration, because there's quite a bit more to that, through to the close of the sale. Now, involved in that first part for the sales development rep is, a day might look like, even though it's not a typical day, but it could look like, start the morning with training with the team, a bit of a stand up around what's the focus for the day. What do we learn from yesterday? Any situations, any learnings? And then it might be responding to any emails or requests or inquiries that have come in, and then doing some research on the potential companies we want to connect with and the people. What are the people saying out there? What do they seem to like? What's my connection angle? And then trying to get in touch with them and have conversations either by phone, by email, by video, by LinkedIn. And really then looking to engage and say, book those demonstrations. Then there might be a bit of product training from the technical team, so you stay up to date on what's happening. and then a bit of a debrief at the end with the team. And in between there's usually a bit of table tennis and pool table action as well. So the progression can then go into a more senior role, which obviously comes more responsibility, more complexity, more earnings. And from there, it can go into leadership. It might go into more of a product or a marketing type role. We've actually got one candidate who's he's been in his role for 10 months. He's being moved to the US to help their office grow over there. So it's fast paced. It's all go. No one day is the same, but a big learning journey and a lot of satisfaction on the other side if it's the right thing for you. I'll stop and breathe.
Yeah, I can go next. Yes, similar to Scotty, I guess. No days the same, but happy to talk to a typical grad role at Mars. So all of our graduates, when they join the business, they start out in field sales. So we believe it's an awesome role to learn our brands and products right in front of the customer. So it requires a lot of stakeholder management, so both internally, so it's great exposure to our head office sales teams, our account execs like Isaac, preparing all documents to support a sell-in in store. So our grads are responsible for executing any activations on our products, or if we are launching a new product, they will sell that into our grocery customers, so both Foodstuffs and Woolworths. They support in building displays at activation times and really maintain that relationship with the customer. So they're spread out across Auckland, and it's quite I mean, everyone has the same challenges, so relying on each other to kind of support while servicing our grocery stores. And from this, typically moving into a second rotation, it allows our graduates to have enough exposure to what other roles are within the business. So typically we see grads moving into head office sales or into our category team who look into consumer trends and insights and what's happening in the market. Then we have grads in supply chain, so demand planning or supply planning, and equally grads in marketing. So we do feel like that first sales role is a really great chance to, build some confidence and learn the business out with our field force and enough kind of connection within our head office to map out what could be of interest next. Or we often do see grads staying in field sales as reps or trying out a different channel such as into oils or convenience or food service and things like that.
Oh, you go, Levi. I saw you go.
So yeah, at the same time, you go ahead, Isaac.
Cheers. No, I was just gonna say, it's difficult, I guess, to give a day in the life of a grad, just because the grad program is so varied. I think there are a really wide array of different jobs that you could step into as part of the grad program here at Kraft Heinz. For example, in the grad program that I participated in, I got to take part in 2 different 6-month rotations. So my first rotation was part of the HR team, where I worked in the internal communications, focusing on diversity, inclusion, and belonging, which was awesome. We were given a project that we got to work on that we eventually presented after the 6-month rotation, alongside the kind of day-to-day work where, for example, in HR, I was helping out with organizing events, creating internal communications. I had an awesome opportunity to head down to Hastings to our factories. I actually got to take some photos of the Prime Minister while I was down there, because I'm into photography. So there's just really a wide array of stuff that I was able to do, which was great. The second rotation that I did was actually in marketing, which was awesome because that's what I had studied at university. So it was great to just have, I guess, options to be able to choose from and see, you know, get a taste of the business and see what you actually like. Because I know for me personally, I wasn't too sure of what exactly I wanted to be doing straight out of university. So that was one of the big benefits. And while I was in marketing, again, a whole different bunch of tasks that I was given. I got to head to, you know, different product photo shoots, which was awesome. There was a lot of consumer insights work where we looked at different data sets and things like that to try and better sell to our customers. It really is a bunch of different things. And now I'm in sales, which is totally different to what I was in my my grad program. But I think that's one of the biggest benefits of a grad program is there is so many different opportunities that you can get out of being part of a grad program. So yeah, that's what I would say with regards to that.
Thanks, Isaac. I think I'm last here. So yeah, in terms of graduate roles, I'll be quite broad in my answer, I think, because there are so many different graduate roles at Foodstuffs. They could be in accounting, finance, property, construction, creative, marketing, training, HR, law, management consulting, strategy. I could go on. Technology, as Scotty mentioned as well. Our IT team is just over 300 full-time employees. So there's a lot of opportunities there. In terms of from an internship perspective, we do an internship program, and as what your day-to-day as part of that program would look like, it would be well, firstly, it's a 12-week paid internship over summer, Monday to Friday, 40 hours a week, and you are part of a cohort of other interns, usually around 25. I think we had 27 this last summer. So you'd be your usual day would involve coming into the office. This is the office behind me. This is the part of the cafe. We've got a couple pool tables down there as well. And it's like a very kind of agile, open space to work from. Upstairs, there's another, upstairs here, there's a whole other floor. And then there's a third floor as well. So it'll be involved coming into the office, working alongside your leader. You also have buddies when you first start, so you've got a lot of support around you. Again, a lot of collaboration between different areas of the business. As part of our internship program, we also do a lot of kind of like social events and learning events, so you get to go along to suppliers to see how that side of the industry works. So there's a lot more than just sitting down and doing one role. And from a graduate kind of role perspective, we don't have a set graduate program. That is kind of very structured and goes through a certain process. We just have graduate level roles across the whole business all throughout the year. So you can come into a role and yeah, actually do really meaningful work from the get-go. And after say 12 to 18 months, you could be either looking at a promotion, or within that time frame you could be looking at other graduate roles if you want to switch things up. So there's a lot more kind of freedom and a lot more flexibility at Foodstuffs in terms of graduate level roles. But yeah, that's a bit of an overview. In the office, certain events, a lot of support and from your leaders and teams, just to name a few points. Awesome. There.
Perfect. Awesome. Thanks everyone. I think we've got a little bit over time. That was epic. So thanks Levi, thanks Catherine, Scotty, Isaac. Really appreciate you all coming.